You're listening to the Podcast Detroit Network. Visit www.podcastdetroit.com for more information.
Welcome. Thank you for listening. This is the IT and the D Show. We are at episode 178, and it is Auto Show Week.
Yep.
It is, because, you know, the raging giant car guys that we are.
Oh, yeah.
Or at least I'll speak for myself, car guy that I am.
Well, that's why we have people here to help us
exactly
navigate the auto show. We are lucky enough to be joined by Catherine Robertson. She is the training experience officer at Mobile Comply. We're going to be talking about connected car, autonomous vehicles, and all the good stuff that comes with self-driving cars. And we have the pleasure to be joined by the tag team duo known as Mike Brennan, Matt Roush from the M2Techcast right here at Podcast Detroit. They've been getting press passes to every single event at the auto show, shed some light as to what we are to look forward to.
Well, and we were at the main event 20 thing last night, which I'll be at, Matt, listening to one of your interviews from last night. I learned it was an acronym. I did not know that walking in there. So who knew?
So, hey, this episode is brought to you by our friends at Fellows Shredders. You may think all shredders are created equal, but thanks to their unrivaled durability, premium technology, like 100% jam-proof system and silent shred.
Even raspberry?
And reliable performance. Only Fellows holds the title of world's toughest shredders. So whether you are shredding as an individual or company, count on Fellows to be the first line of defense in keeping your sensitive information safe. To learn more about the world's toughest shredders, visit Fellows, FELLOWES.com. Dave, you may fire when ready.
The following program is intended for mature audiences.
This is Max Headroom. And what you're about to witness is one of the most sinister-sounding intros to a trailer to one of the greatest epics ever.
You're listening to the ITintheD Show.
This is Billy D. Williams. Bob and Dave and I are enjoying a Colt 45 right now. And remember, ITintheD, it works every time.
Where do you guys think you are?
The Library of Congress?
Detroit?
Beyond the sun?
Any of those right?
Take him to Detroit.
No! No, not Detroit! No! No, please! Anything but that! No!
I used to hang out at the Magumbo Bar. It was a rough place, the seediest dive on the wharf, populated with every reject and cutthroat from Bombay to Calcutta. It's worse than Detroit.
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Then don't come! Shut up! Why would, Buick put their cars next to, the Bentleys? Why? That's not marketing.
The alphabet.
It's brilliant.
Dear you IT geeks. This is Dre DeMatteo from Sons of Anarchy. You are listening to IT and the D.
What happens when you tap the angry beaver in the bumhole?
Exactly.
Come on.
Someone tries.
What the hell with it? I'm calling a break. We'll come back to this. So you have no boots.
No.
You have no gloves.
No.
You have no hat.
No.
You have no scarf.
No.
You have no scraper.
No.
How long have you lived in Michigan?
All my life.
You, sir, are an idiot.
I don't care.
What's up, everybody? This is Billy Zapka. Sweep the leg. Listening to ITintheD Show. No mercy.
I may have to wipe the geek off.
Hi, this is Martin Cove, John Kreese from the Karate Kid movie. And you're listening to ITintheD.
Are we at a break yet?
Hi, I'm Ernie Hudson, and you're listening to ITintheD. All you nerds out there.
Nerds.
Nerds! What is a nerd?
I'm a nerd, and I'm pretty proud of it.
This is Scott Steiner, Big Papa Pump. ITintheD Show is your hookup. Holler if you hear me.
You're in your underwear? I'm in my underwear. Hey, let's hang out.
No, I'm sorry, honey. I have a headache.
I definitely want to see Bob in his underwear. That's a fact.
I can't say no, and I don't really want to.
Well, especially with the back doors open.
It's just too big. How big? It's way too big.
I can get it all the way in.
Really? Should we talk about this? Tag team it. Should I keep going or should I stop?
We just lost our clean tag on iTunes.
I'm totally into Dave, but not so much Bob.
This is Robert Hayes, Lieutenant Stryker to my mother. When I'm not hanging out at the Magumbo Bar, I'm listening to the ITintheD Show. It's worse than Detroit.
Is there such thing as a meat hangover?
I love this meat stick.
I love my Monday meat steak.
Hey, folks, this is WWE Hall of Famer Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and you're listening to the ITintheD Show. Tough guy. Oh!
You promised me segment 5.
So, what would you little maniacs like to do first?
The question isn't what are we going to do. The question is what aren't we going to do.
Ludicrous speed! Sir, had you better buckle up? Buckle this! Ludicrous speed! Go!
It's Auto Show Week. We have a keg of falling down beer, and it's episode 178 of the IT in the D Show, broadcasting live, Studio One here in Podcast Detroit in beautiful Royal Oak, Michigan. This is Bob the Sales Guy hanging out with Dave the Geek, Nuri the FNG. Find us online, ITintheD.com. Subscribe to us on Facebook /ITintheD and the Twitter. Shout out to Randy and Ian filling up our Twitters, and subscribe to us on Apples and the Googles and the iOSs and the Androids and everywhere fine podcasts are sold.
We are all the places.
We are all the places. Hey, real quick, mark your calendars. January the 19th, we're going to be at Nancy Whiskey's out in Corktown for one of our socials, 5 o'clock until ? Be there or be square.
And let's be honest, especially at Nancy Whiskey, it's going to be a question mark.
What do they sell at Nancy Whiskey's?
Whiskey.
Ooh, and whiskey accessories?
And properties of whiskey.
And cheap whiskey and good whiskey.
Cheap whiskey
Headache.
and expensive whiskey. And not so expensive whiskey.
And the occasional girl named Nancy. Maybe.
Yeah.
Served by Nancy.
That was the original owner, yeah. Hey, before we get rolling though, so this episode is brought to you by Blue Apron. Kind of a cool thing now that I've gotten a little bit familiar with them. So a couple of key points here. So one, I know a lot of people are concerned about this sort of thing. The beef is raised humanely. Chickens are free range. Pork is raised naturally. It's a regenerative farming practice or used for their produce. Blue Apron can be delivered to 99% of the continental U.S. and 99.5% of food deserts. Now, we've kind of talked about that there are a lot of areas that can't just, they're not within range of a grocery store, that sort of thing. We've had that talk about downtown Detroit.
Absolutely.
So that's a cool big thing. Because Blue Apron ships the exact amount of each ingredient required for a recipe, they're reducing food waste. The other kind of cool thing, and I agree with this, and I'm sure you're in the same boat, so cooking together builds strong family bonds. Dude, my kids love it when I let them get in. Like I'm not so keen on John with a knife because, well, he's still 7 and a boy.
Right.
And things can happen. But Sam, Samantha's at the point where she's 9 and she's mostly good with it.
That is the only time our family gets together for a meal. Like, we all eat together, but when we cook together.
Yeah.
Is when we have a Blue Apron, because again, they give you enough to feel like you've done something, and you cook things you wouldn't even order at restaurants, but are restaurant quality.
So, and that's the thing I always like about it. So, for example, here's some of the meals that are available in January. So they've got seared pork chops with farro and cranberry chutney. Nothing I would probably order, but I guarantee you it's going to be insane.
People make on Chopped that we go, ooh.
Yeah, exactly. Or one of those stupid tasty videos that you got to have. Spaghetti squash and marinara with mushrooms and garlic knots.
Is that mom's spaghetti?
Hey, who knows? But garlic, no vampires. So life's good. Spicy shrimp and Korean rice cakes with cabbage and I'm gonna mangle this. It's furikake. It's a Japanese spice. It looks like furry cake, but it's furikake. It's us. This is gonna be. I know that's gonna get hashtagged to no end. It's furikake. So here's the deal, kids. So check out this week's menu. Get your first 3 meals free with shipping by going to blueapron.com/D. Now, from what I understand, that URL might be in progress of getting working. We'll see how that goes. If I need to come in here tomorrow and re-record it before syndication, we'll see what happens. But so it's blueapron.com/D. You'll love how good it feels, it tastes to create incredible home-cooked meals with Blue Apron. So don't wait. That's blueapron.com/D. Blue Apron, a better way to cook.
I finally realized my wife is a good cook when we started using this. Instead of being the microwave queen of Auburn Hills, now we get some pretty awesome meals.
No, but see, honestly, here's why this doesn't work for my wife. My wife, for whatever reason, she hates recipes because like it's this subconscious thing where she feels like somebody's telling her what to do. And so she always just tries to do it without the recipes.
But it's never over 8 to 10 steps. It's
but
not
this, she follows the recipes.
Because it's only like 8 steps.
Because it's not like me. Because here's what happens. Like I cook something and she's like, wow, that was really good. I want to cook it when you're not here. So I'll write down the recipe. So when she reads the recipe, she hears it in my voice. And so she's like, yeah, you're telling me what to do. I'm not doing it. Yeah. And so then things go horribly askew. So this is a nice neutral voice. Neutral. Maybe it's Morgan Freeman in her head. And then you cut the chutney. And who knows?
Go the F to sleep. So as we mentioned, it is Auto Show Week, and probably the dumbest story to come out of our fine area in quite some time has to come out of the beautiful city of Roseville, Michigan.
God bless you, Roseville.
So it's been colder than a pick your favorite acronym or saying or whatever.
Or something, right?
Right.
It's like so cold that at parties at my house, no one's going outside to smoke.
Oh my God.
It's it's so cold that people drunk are like, can I smoke a cigarette? No.
So this gentleman starts his car and goes into his house.
Well, we don't mean a guy. We don't mean he's a gentleman.
Oh, fair.
And it is Roseville. So
and he comes out to his running vehicle, right? I think it was inside for maybe 3-4 minutes. There's a ticket on his car for $128.
Yes.
$138.
$128. Yeah.
For leaving his car unattended while running.
Now, so
which
here's
90% of the Detroit population does every single day.
Here's the thing. It's not just for leaving his car running. Because, you've got a key fob. I've got a key fob. Car's got remote start. Hit the little boop, boop twice and the car starts. Life's good. That's not a problem. The car was running with the keys in it.
Oh.
That's what he got the ticket for because apparently they said
which is what 90% of Detroit does on a daily basis.
Right. So they said like 5 to 6
89% because the 1% has keyless entry.
Right. Well, so they said, if there's like 5 to 6 car thefts a month in Roseville during the winter because of that exact situation. So they're trying to cut down on theft by having that
So give them
policy
a
in place.
Give them a warning.
So it's illegal to warm your car
in your own driveway.
On your own driveway on winter days.
With the keys in it.
Social media went bananas. Everyone that ever posted it was 1,000 shares plus.
Oh, and the police chief isn't backing down either.
No, he's like in favor of it.
Oh no, yeah, he's doubling down on it over and over and over again.
Like you couldn't just A, give a warning, B, give like a PSA.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm officer friendly, just letting you know this is a really good way to get your car stolen.
Correct.
Right.
Or put out,
next time we come by and see this, we're going to give you a ticket.
Put it on the Roseville
Here's a warning.
TV or
It is something. But yeah, no, $128 ticket. And, and of course, one of them, they're like, oh, well, a remote car start you can get put in for $99 and that would have been cheaper than the ticket.
Right.
Just visit the chief of police's brother who runs an auto shop.
Well, that's one of the things we talk about in Auto Show Week, so I'll kind of segue into autonomous vehicles. But one of the studies that came out, and this is going to be interesting, we never talked about this on the show yet, is the speeding and parking ticket in the violation industry is $6 billion a year for local municipalities.
Oh, not to mention the DUI industry.
Right.
Yeah.
And I funded the month of November 16.
Oh, for Royal Oak? Absolutely.
And
Ferndale.
Hazel Park with the no turn on reds.
Yeah.
They don't give you points, but I'll be damned if you get a $150 ticket. I'm like, I got it again.
And I think Huntington Wood's entire money comes from nothing but DUIs coming out of Ferndale. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But what's going to happen now when we sit in our little Johnny cabs and
go home, car, I'm drunk.
Right. Car goes 40 miles an hour.
Go home drunk, I'm car.
Right. You can't get a ticket. What are these municipalities going to do? It comes for an interesting conversation. What are they going to do? Because they lose that much money because my car is not going to turn on red. It's not going to speed. I'm not going to be drunk because I'm not driving.
Did you see the video that Tesla released? Tesla released like a what the car is actually thinking as it's doing its autonomous drive. And it's amazing. It highlights different things like this is a speed sign. So it highlighted that in red and like ingested that information and did that speed. It's like it was looking at this is a person, this is a moving thing, this is a parked thing. It's on Tesla's website. It's amazing, basically showing how that computer works.
So how long is it going to be though before like you get, I don't know, us, running around like putting up like fake speed limit signs, like knowing that the cars will read them.
Taking 35 and like spray painting them to 88. 88 miles per hour. Holy shit, we're back in the future.
They don't read them like that, do they?
I think they have to.
No, because my GPS knows, my 2013 car knows what the speed limit is on the, I don't know how it knows.
I don't know.
Well, it worked from all places except for at CES this week with a tech writer, blogger.
Oh yeah,
Who got into
he did not have a good experience in his self-driving car.
Got
at
into
all.
Was a Volkswagen.
It was a Volkswagen, yeah.
And basically the car couldn't. The guy, so there's a guy sitting shotgun, almost like when you were 15 years old, and the guy, where they had like the special brakes for like the student driver.
like driver's ed, yeah.
And he had the second steering wheel, like, oh my God, like we call it the oh shit brakes,
Yeah.
But this thing almost almost schmucked two parked cars because it couldn't see. It couldn't.
It didn't detect them properly.
Didn't detect like a stationary vehicle.
He was filming the video too, and they were doing like 35 miles an hour. And it's like you're coming up really fast on that car, and then all of a sudden it's like everyone's like jolted in the car because it's like the guy hit the brakes.
So he said the autonomous car only drove itself 40% of the time this guy was in the car because the secondary driver had to take the thing over so many times.
Woof.
And it almost got 2 accidents.
But they're going to be all over the roads in 3 to 4 years.
The quote was,
2021.
The quote was, it was like being locked in a roving prison cell with a marketing guru who kept yammering about the Internet of Things and how mystical future of vehicles was.
That's about the best description I've ever heard for it because it's so. At first, I thought he was being like a little dramatic, but that's so accurate.
Well, in that same vein, though, and it's interesting stat, especially when everybody talks about, because, one of the things they talk about is, easing traffic flow, reducing congestion and all that stuff. The little article study came out that said essentially 3,000 ride-sharing cars.
This wasn't just a study. This was MIT.
Yeah.
Well, so it's not like some bullshit
funded by Uber and Lyft.
Right, exactly.
Right. Well, but MIT might have gotten them. Anyway. But 3,000 ride-sharing cars could replace all cabs in New York City.
How many cabs are in New York City right now? Is there 12,000?
13,000 in Manhattan, right.
So 13,000.
It seems like there's a lot more. Like, I'm not gonna, I'll never forget my first trip to Manhattan when, I was I didn't really know the city or any of that nonsense. And so, well, what do you do if you feel like something weird's going on? The guy was like, hail a cab. And I'm like, what? He stepped over the side of the road, put out 2 fingers. A cab broke across 3 lanes of traffic the wrong way, 3 lanes of traffic our way, jumped the curb and got in front of me. He's like, you'll never have a problem if you hail a cab.
Going to,
unless you're in the cab, right?
I hate roller coasters more than any probably human being on the planet.
You do.
And hailing a cab from LaGuardia going to basically Midtown Manhattan is probably the most unruly. It felt like I'm on the mean streak. Like the guy was going max speed 3 inches behind whoever's in front of him, changing lanes 18 times. I'm like,
you get used to it. You do.
No, I'm like, guy, I'm not in a rush, man. Like, take it. You can go good. I'm good. Like, I don't need to be anywhere soon.
I'm not in that big of a rush.
Right.
I'm good.
And he was just so pre-programmed to be, to drive like a bat out of hell.
See, I tell people that I learned to drive in New York City. Like, I grew up in rural Florida. So it's like living in New York City, I had to relearn how to drive. And that's impacting me the rest of my life.
Oh, yeah, true.
People drive like fish is what one driver told me. He's like, back and forth. Like, it's just kind of fluid.
Well, and you may remember, they literally had to pass a law, speaking of cabs, to keep the cabbies from putting steel beams as their bumpers. Because they were doing, and that's
rebar.
Yeah, no, like girders.
Oh, Jesus.
Like A-Team van.
Yeah. It was ridiculous.
This is my brush guard.
Yeah, exactly.
So one of the stories that blew my mind, and it's going to set a weird precedent. I don't know if it's going to come to the States or not, but France kind of dropped a bomb. And if you are on Facebook for any extended period of time, you have that mom that posts 3 pictures of her kid every day, all day.
An hour.
For the rest of her. Yeah. And so now France has come up with a thing, and they're actually going to fine the new privacy laws. Parents could face penalties of up to a year in prison and a fine of £45,000, which is 46 grand, if convicted of publishing details of their children without consent. So you have to ask little Johnny, Johnny, may I post this on social media? No. And he goes, yes, Daddy. And then you're absolved from this fine.
Now, is France different from the U.S.? Because I'm just thinking as in the U.S., legal guardian, you essentially have power of attorney and all that fun stuff for your kids. So your consent is their consent. Is that different in France? I know France is jacked, but are they?
And is there a certain age cutoff? Right? Because how do you get consent from a 1-year-old?
This conversation just got really creepy.
Well,
I come from the Burning Man
It's a
community.
different kind of consent.
Well, it's consent. I come from the Burning Man community, right? So consent
I would love a cup of tea.
Yes, consent is huge in the Burning Man community, especially around pictures. But realistically, what age can a kid say, yes, it's okay to post a picture of me?
Because what kid isn't going to say, yes, I want to be on Facebook?
Of course.
Yeah.
Did they like it? Did they like it? Did they like it?
No, pull it down.
Did they like it?
Yeah.
Take another
But
one. Look fat.
They were just saying
Says your
that
3-year-old.
by the age of 5, certain parents could post over 1,000 pictures of their children on social sites.
That number seems low. I'll be honest.
Right. Some of the parents I know, yeah. But again, I'm glad I grew up when I did. I'll just leave it at that.
Oh, dude, we've said that a million times. Like, thank God we grew up in the days before social media, because if like Facebook and Twitter and oh god, like Vine and all that crap, we'd still be in jail.
Well, I was talking
or dead
on New Year's Eve. I was talking with Bo, and I said, I DJ'd at the Post Bar downtown, or all the scattered ones, for close to 11, 12 years. The only time I ever had pictures at the Post was Bo's 30th at the Post East in Grosse Pointe, and my 30th at the Post Clem. We never took a picture otherwise. I go, we would have taken a dozen pictures a night with everyone we've ever talked to. That would still be on the internet. And thank God it's nothing. And us eating a Geneva burger and the grease bombs and like hanging out the door puking and none of it. It's all in faint memory.
It's in memory the way it should be.
Right. But like what kids are going through now, it's like, before you even hit teenager, your
entire life is documented.
Your known identity online.
The one thing I did do, this is it's one of those cutesy ideas I read online that I thought was kind of neat, is I did create email accounts for both kids, and so like whenever like we get like cool photos or cool stories or stuff like that about them, I email it to it, and then when they turn, it says you're supposed to do it at 18, but whatever age you think they're old enough, go ahead and give them the password to it. And let them, go through and like see all those pics and read all those stories.
Digital time capsule.
It is. I mean, it's I did that. That's kind of cool. I mean, but yeah, same. And rather than posting everything to Facebook like most people do. Yeah.
So my favorite guy this week is the TV news anchor that.
Oh, in San Diego?
Yes.
Yeah.
Keep it classy. That basically said,
for what it's worth, if you're listening to this, you are in any way. Yeah, exactly. Turn your speakers away, especially if you have an Alexa. Right now, turn up your speakers.
So the guy basically flat out says, quote unquote.
Well, no, because he was doing a story.
Yeah.
About a little girl who had some wacky mayhem ensue.
Right. So he says, Alexa, order me a dollhouse.
No. He said, I can't believe that just saying Alexa, order me a dollhouse caused all this on the news. Well, what happened is when the little girl said, Alexa, I want to play dolls. Can you order me a dollhouse and play with me? Like 2 days later, thanks Amazon Prime, a dollhouse and 4 pounds of sugar cookies shows up on the front
porch. I don't
get
the sugar cookies. I don't know.
Yeah. Or it was like, she was like, play tea with me or something like that. Yeah. And so every Alexa.
Lucky us in Colorado.
Oh yeah. On weed. Like they had thousands of people in San Diego that apparently their Alexa was in the room when this story came over the news.
Oh.
And 2 days later, dollhouse, 4 pounds of cookies. Thousands.
Mine turns on during all the commercials. Thank God it doesn't say order stuff.
Yeah.
I wonder what would happen if someone said, Alexa, order handcuffs and 120 pack of whipped cream chargers. Anybody?
Alexa, order 48 count adult diapers. We're gonna get some hate mail next week.
We absolutely are, and I'm okay with it. That's if we're not getting hate mail, we're not doing our job. Speaking of hate mail, I'm not sure how this is going to go. So I think we've all pretty much turned off notifications for Facebook Live at this point.
No, now it's just a button. It's not an icon on the top of my phone.
Yeah.
It's just a button inside Facebook, so it's not that big of a deal anymore.
It's still annoying.
Nothing anyone's ever done live has ever said, wow, that's pretty awesome.
That's amazing. I'm so glad you went live, and I went and looked at that video.
Actually,
not once.
I DJ'd a show on Friday night at the Tangent, and they broadcasted the music live using Facebook Live, which I thought was really interesting. They actually piped the audio directly in and shared it out from their Facebook page so people could listen to it using Facebook Live and comment as people were mixing. That was pretty cool.
That's not, I was thinking of all the bad, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to do something, at least do that.
I was going to say, I got a note of a spacewalk from NASA at the space station. I mean, that wasn't that.
Well, but we talked about it last week. The vast majority of Facebook Live is either A, porn, or B, girls looking for go hit my PayPal account and give me money while I get nude.
Or a guy in car eating a cheeseburger. Or pirated content.
Remember, you can go to facebook.com/livemap and see around the world who's sharing what.
Yeah, and they said the number one stream is still that Tom and Jerry, pirated feed of Tom and Jerry cartoons, which amazes me.
Some guy in Russia's really having a good time with
that.
Exactly,
sure. Which still, whatever. But yeah, so no, they're saying they're going to introduce ads into Facebook
like mid-roll
Live.
ads, like they do. Like YouTube, it's they want to pay advertisers. They're trying to be YouTube now. Remember, we talked about everyone's trying to be everyone sideways and upwards and downwards. Now they're selling ads and paying advertisers.
Well, which you get back to why does Facebook keep suppressing my YouTube ads or my YouTube links? Here's why.
Right. Because they want to be YouTube.
Here's why. But yeah, so apparently it's supposed to hit at the 20-second mark after you're watching. And yeah, they're just gonna start injecting ads into stuff. That'll be amazing.
So who's
it'll make the experience even better.
Oh yeah, because. Nothing good can come of either thing because we hate Facebook Live as it is, and now we're going to hate it even more because we have to watch a chicken parm. You taste so good. Ad in the middle of it.
They say they're watching 100 million hours per day of video on Facebook at the beginning of 2016.
I don't buy it.
It's tasty. It's all the people on the Tom and Jerry cartoons.
No, it's the tasty recipes. That's all it is. That's the only thing Facebook's good for anymore. And I saw they came out with a cookbook because the videos aren't good enough on Facebook. Now you need to order a book.
Exactly.
You know who's having a bad 2017? The social media guy for Yahoo Finance.
Yeah.
Did you read this one, Dave?
I did. And I don't know how we're going to tackle this.
No. Basically what happened was, Yahoo Finance came out and said, he wanted to put Trump declares we need a bigger with a B, Navy. And the B and the N key.
He didn't say bigger.
The B and the N key are next to each other on the keyboard. So he put, Trump declares we need a N-word Navy, spelled out.
And it took them all of 20 minutes after posting it.
No, it took 20 minutes it took. Are you kidding me? That's forever.
I wonder what that phone call was like. It's like, hey, social media guy,
dude, and then so they pulled it, but of course, 20 minutes is all it takes for Twitter.
Nobody forgets.
Twitter went bananas. If you ever want to just laugh.
But at least Twitter had a good time with it. Like they realized it was a typo. Like nobody lit up the pitchforks and flamed.
There's a picture of with Cuba Gooding Jr. from that one movie, with the air gun.
Oh yeah,
saying hey, this is just like Call of Duty. This is great.
And the guys from the New York Giants that were hanging out on a boat with whatever
the
rapper.
Jeans and Timberlands.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Hey, is this what you're talking about? This is what we did? So that was outside. Now, the contrary to that, though, or the opposite of that, is the person who runs Wendy's social media account, who had an outstanding week. I don't know if you caught this story.
No, totally.
So Wendy's, tweets out, hey, fresh meat, blah, blah, fresh meat.
Never
blah,
frozen,
blah, blah, yeah. And some jackhole, tweets at Wendy's and says basically, I don't know who you think you're kidding. Everybody knows it shows up frozen, blah, blah, blah. And whoever's running Wendy's social media account tweets back, no, you're wrong. It always, we ship everything fresh. The guy's like, does he just send, trucks full of raw hamburger all over the place?
On a hot truck.
In a hot truck. And blah, blah, blah. And Wendy's guy, cause he's like, do you just leave raw meat hanging around on the countertops in your house?
Or where do you put things that are cold?
Yeah, where do you store things that are cold?
Yeah. And so the guy blasts back with, McDonald's is a better breakfast than you guys anyway. The Wendy's. No. Don't bring them into this just because you forgot what a refrigerator was.
Right.
Guy winds up deleting his Twitter account because everybody starts piling on him.
Well, then the thing was it became a joke to tweet to Wendy's and go your chili sucks.
Yeah.
And but then they had a field day with it.
Yeah.
Again, it's good PR. When Taco Bell did that, I don't know if they got rid of the team or whatever, but anytime a national brand like that has fun with Twitter, good things happen. I don't understand why more people don't. Again, we were talking about Jeremiah was just talking to me about a new business that opened up by me. And a guy said, hey, it's a little bit overpriced and it's not good. And the owner replied back, this is a fake account. Quit trolling new businesses. They're trying to make it. It's you just failed social media. You know, like stay off.
But thanks for playing.
Stay off Twitter. Like, we should be telling it to a few other people, but stay off the Twitter.
Yeah.
Hey, we're going to take a quick.
Can we get to the one super serious
my God,
one?
MongoDB.
We got to talk about it. So, there is a database software out there called MongoDB, and it's a free open source software kind of database. Is it a NoSQL database?
Yep.
It's basically not like Microsoft SQL, but a lot of companies run it. So this week, up to 27,000 of these databases.
Yeah, so it's up to 28K as of today. Yeah.
Have been compromised. And basically, how is it compromised? Step one, it's connected directly to the internet. Step two, it uses an administrator username and no password. So 27,000 people have basically installed this stuff without putting a password on it, which reminds me of what was that SQL Slammer in 2000? That was the exact same thing, like an SA username and a blank password. So if you're using MongoDB, be sure you go, they published a security guide.
Or you know what, just run down to your IT guy's desk and say, hey, are we running MongoDB? Or just, Candygram for Mongo, however you want to run with it.
Because basically they were deleting the data or holding it hostage for like $150 or $500, depending on the size. So, use good passwords.
Yeah.
Rotate them.
Or use passwords.
Delete the administrator account.
How about let's start with use passwords.
Right.
and not password with an @ and a 0.
Right.
Just please, what did you say? The password still works for the old thing that you made back in 2001?
It absolutely does. Yes.
Admin.
I'm not putting that out on the air.
I didn't say where. Hey, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to be back with Catherine from Mobile Comply. This is the IT in the D show, and we'll be right back.
IT in the D. Read, meet, listen. Networking Detroit, one beer at a time.
Hey, this is John Snyder from Nip Tuck Smallville, the haves and the have-nots. Oh, Dr. Quinn, Hot in Cleveland. Secret Lives of the American Teenager, and just about everything you can possibly imagine. And oh yeah, the Dukes of Hazzard. You're listening to Bob and Dave. It's the IT in the D show.
ITintheD.com.
Welcome back. Thank you for listening. This is episode 178 of the IT in the D show, broadcasting here live, Studio One in Podcast Detroit, beautiful Royal Oak, Michigan. Bob the sales guy, hanging out with Dave the Geek, Nuri the FNG. Find us online, ITintheD.com. And so, hey, hopping right into it. It is Auto Show Week. We are joined in person by none other than Catherine Robertson from Mobile Comply. And it sounds like we have Elena on the phone.
Yes, we do.
How are you?
I'm good.
Remember when she was just getting rolling and we were cool enough for her to actually show up for her? Remember?
Now she just sends her lack.
Right.
So, hey, just for anyone that doesn't know what Mobile Comply is, I guess, Elena, why don't you just kick us off? What does Mobile Comply do? Then we want to talk about what you guys are doing at the auto show.
Yeah, sure. Mobile Comply is a training company. Bob, as you know, we've been around for a long time, since 2009, and we specialize in autonomous and connected vehicles. So for all the IT folks out there that are interested in seeing what this new world is going to become, we train you on how to do that.
It's got to be fun seeing what you've been practicing for a while kind of coming to fruition and being like a actual tangible thing these days.
Yeah, it's very exciting. Often I like to go to New York, like I heard you guys were talking to just a few minutes ago, and I just like to think about what it's going to be like when all those cab drivers are autonomously being moved around. It's really cool to watch, Bob.
Yeah, absolutely. And now, Catherine, what are you guys are spending time at the auto show. What is it that Mobile Comply is doing? I know you guys don't have a booth, but are you just kind of a spectator? Are you guys doing speaking? Well, I guess what's your plans?
So if anybody wants to meet Elena in person, you can actually join us on Thursday. And Elena, what time exactly do you know what time you're going on Thursday?
Yeah, we're at 3:00 at Automobility down in the atrium.
Very good. So Mobile Comply, you'll be able to meet us there, and you can talk to us a little bit more about our classes and what's going on in connected and autonomous vehicles, and learn a little bit more about us.
Cool. I know, it's going off subject with Auto Show a little bit, but I got to dive in because it's one of the coolest things. You guys do the field training for the Super Bowls where you wear a big red or yellow coat. I forget which one it is. And if someone has Wi-Fi problems, you guys are there to help them. And I'm like, I want to go to the Super Bowl and train people on how to not connect to the Wi-Fi at the stadium.
But only in the front row, right? Only in the front row.
Yeah, well, wait. Though, Bob, I have to tell you, there's no drinking, and everybody else is having a good time. And when you're just standing there at the Super Bowl, and everybody else has paid $10,000 to get in there, and you're not enjoying the party, and you're working, it really sucks.
I can drink before, can't I?
This is my Wi-Fi flask in my pocket.
Exactly.
Hold on, I got the Wi-Fi password written on the back of the flask. Hold on.
Can you fix?
I knew we should have taken you. We should have taken you, Bob.
See? Can you fix Ford Field's Wi-Fi, by the way? And I can never connect there. Every game I go to is the worst experience.
And moving along.
Right. So Auto Show, I guess, what are some of the cool things you guys are seeing in terms of, I mean, obviously we're seeing autonomous vehicles and wireless communication, blah, 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 blah. What's something that's like, oh, wow, I didn't know about that, or that's what's next? What's, I guess, the cool thing?
Well, I'm sure the thing that you know about this year is automobility. And that is the huge new exhibit on the lower floor. And that, I know it's such a catchphrase, but mobility is a huge conversation at the auto show this year. You heard it when Bill Ford and Mark Fields were talking about it earlier today at the Ford reveal. And all of the vehicles, they're really moving more towards a lifestyle change rather than just revealing vehicles. So I think if you go downstairs and check out the Planet M booth with Michigan, see some of the startups like Techstars is promoting downstairs. It's an amazing exhibit. And so I think that really is just set the auto show apart from any other year that they've ever been.
Well, I guess we're getting fickle. It's kind of like Wi-Fi on airplanes, right? We want to know where we are. We want to know how far it is we're going. We want to know traffic patterns. We want to hook into our Pandora. We want our email read to us from Gmail.
But don't you dare track me.
Yeah, exactly. Don't you dare track me, government. But it's almost like it's funny how fickle we are. It's like once we even smell something exists, it better work flawlessly upon launch or we will complain on the internet.
Well, it's almost like, like I remember, when I was signing up for my cable service at the new house and I was like, oh, they're like, oh yeah, this package is this. And, and after it expires in 2 years, you could always downsize. I'm like, no. I'm not the guy that downsizes. I'm the guy that will call you once a month and say, hey, I just heard about these 4 new channels that are available. Why don't I have them yet?
Right.
So, I mean, is that, because obviously, the whole, whether it's, connected car or, the car-to-car communication or, all that kind of stuff. So I guess what are the big hooks this year that people should be looking for? Because I believe the auto show opens to the public Friday? Saturday. Yeah. So this is why we have experts here. So when the auto show opens to the public, so what should they be looking for? I always say, what's that thing that's going to make people go, damn it, I got to buy a new car now.
I don't think it's one thing, Dave. It's kind of like I can see you back when the wireless started just evolving. Some guys were going, hey, let's put tinfoil over my house so that we won't get any of the radiation and it's going to kill my brain. And you were the guy outside standing there
with an amplifier.
With, the amplifier and the umbrella going, bring it to me.
She knows you well, doesn't she?
I do. I've been doing this. But when you think about autonomy and connectivity, and especially everything that's been evolving over the last couple of years, you have to think about it in relative terms. So, this thing didn't just start this year. It started being the buzz this year, but it's been around for decades. But what's really happened is, as Catherine stated, it's becoming more of a lifestyle. It's no longer like, hey, I know that was a bad example of what happened at CES and the guy almost crashed and got completely, out of sorts. But there are functional things that happen. If you won't remember, but when the seatbelts just came out and when the cars just came out, people were going, you're going to get nosebleeds if you go too fast, or we're not going to be able to get out of the crash. Well, that's what a lot of folks were talking about, autonomy and connectivity. But what you're starting to see is the car manufacturers and the other people that are playing roles are getting away from that. What they're doing is they're showing, hey, this can be a safer experience. This can be a better lifestyle. You can stay more connected. This can be functional in your life. So when you're looking at all these cars, start seeing some of these features that are beginning to emerge, and they're not necessarily shown in light, but it's things that will actually save your life. And those are some of the connectivity pieces that are important.
Well, and I guess that's I guess the immediate question that comes to mind is, so are we going to, like, when everybody talks, connected car and, knowing where the cars are around you and that sort of thing, like, what is being done or, how is it being managed that we're not going to have like, Mac versus Windows or Google versus Apple, like, to make sure that, the Fords and the GMs and the Audis and all those cars will talk to each other instead of living in their own sphere?
Well, recently, just actually a month ago now, NHTSA came out with their ruling that set a standard that basically said, and you can go and read it, and I can send you a link to this, but it started setting the standard.
I was just setting you up for a good question.
What?
I said I already knew about it. I was just setting you up for a good answer.
Thanks. Yeah. Anyway, now that we're talking on air, we should be texting now. But regardless, what I'm saying is NHTSA is starting to open up these conversations, and they're opening up these standards. And frankly, the automakers are beginning to collaborate on things like safety. And, they launched the ISAC, which is starting to talk more about security. So without giving the proprietary information from each of the autos out to one another, they're beginning to test and work on interoperable standards so that this won't be a problem.
So almost kind of like the Covasant idea back in the day where, it's somewhere that, it's a middleware player that Ford, GM, and everybody will talk through to each other.
I think it's going to be quite different than that, actually.
Okay.
Because what you've got now is there are going to be operating systems, as you mentioned, but I don't think it's going to be quite different. It's not going to be a one-size-fits-all. There are going to be standards in the data transmission, and there's going to be points of security that are going to be put in place and that are already being discussed. And those are the kinds of things that each automaker are going to agree to do. But I don't necessarily going to think it's going to be exactly in that way, because it's going to talk to other things as well. So when you start getting the aftermarket players involved, that's a whole nother conversation that we can talk about later, because that's been quite a challenge this last year, as well as, okay, so what happens if someone comes in and puts an aftermarket device in the car to make their car more autonomous? I spoke at SEMA this year, and one of the things that the guys at SEMA were saying is, hey, it used to be, hey, my car is faster than yours and I have more horsepower. And in a few years, it's going to be like, hey, my car is more autonomous than yours and I'm more connected. So you have to start thinking about not only the manufacturers, but also what's going to happen after that.
As long as they don't make apps like hotels to open up your car with an app like the hotel keys, like just, it's hard enough to fumble through my keys, let alone if my battery's dead and I can't open my car. Like, it's not like hotels. It's not difficult to open your room with a key. Like, just let me throw that out there. It's not. Right? I'm just asking, like, there's other things that, I don't know, what else do we need? We need, like, the new thing, like, with Apple and Android Connect, right? With some of the newer cars where you're getting the experience of your phone on your dash.
You can listen to your podcast right in cars directly. Yeah. We're big fans of that one.
Oh, there you go, Dave.
Actually, honestly, one of the things that was in almost all of the videos that we saw last night that I thought was kind of interesting was the concept of like a drone in the car that you could like whip out. Like, so yeah, I'm thinking, you're parked, you're sitting there trapped on 696 in traffic. Go gadget drone. Tell me how far up this goes.
You get that with Waze. You don't need it with.
But before Waze gets updated, because that relies on human check-ins and all that stuff.
You got to do hot chicken BMW converbul. Like,
yeah, exactly. Hey,
why is there a drone hovering over my car?
Here's a glass of champagne hovered over to that car right there. Yeah.
This note that
Leave
says,
it to you guys to come up with the next speed dating.
That would be an aftermarket product.
We'll be launching Driver without the E coming later this year. That's
the drone flashing, hey girl.
Fender instead of Tinder, I can see.
Dating app while driving. Hold on, I'm on GoDaddy right now. You guys go ahead.
It's Fender. I think that's the man.
I'm working on it.
FENDR.
I can see the next headline. I-75 crashed because Bob stops in the middle. He doesn't want to go anywhere.
Right, exactly. Well, I mean, but you actually you did raise an interesting point, because I remember the last time we had you in, we were talking about those aftermarket devices, because we were joking about, dropping something into Bob's 76 Caddy, and making it a more connected experience. Because, I think Bob and I both have an automatic in our car that, does the readouts of the phone and all that fun stuff. So, I mean, and I guess that is, as you talk about these standards, and we were kind of half joking, as we were talking about the video that Tesla threw out there, that said, hey, here's what the car's thinking while it's driving, and it recognizes a speed limit sign and reacts accordingly. So when it comes to safety and stuff like that, I guess that's probably, I would assume, one of the bigger concerns is hacking and third-party access and that sort of thing. Because I mean, we all saw, the videos last year where somebody, granted, albeit in a controlled experiment, took control of somebody's, I think it was a Chrysler, if I recall correctly, and took out the transmission and made it pull over and all this other fun stuff.
Wasn't that debunked though? That it was that?
No, it wasn't debunked. It was an open experiment. The person knew it was going to happen, but it was still a thing. So, I mean, I guess that's, when it comes to security, I assume that's a big area of focus.
It is, yes. And the automakers are taking it very seriously. And as I mentioned, the ISAC is, where they're beginning to discuss and talk about those standards and those security standards that are going to make sure that it's very secure. So what you have to think about, too, though, is in this evolution and the development process, you've got all these software providers, and they're working with these automakers, and then you've got security specialists, and they're all combining at one point now to make vehicles that have never existed before. So you're going to have some challenges. I mean, that's no doubt. A lot of the discussion that's happening right now is around legalities. So who's going to be liable if you download an app in your car, and is it going to make the warranties not valid? In fact, one of the folks that tried an aftermarket device a couple of months ago, NHTSA basically said no way and shut them down. And they were like, forget you. We'll just make it open source, and then good luck shutting everybody down. So there's still some work to be done. I mean, it's certainly not 100% finished with all, nothing going to happen in the future. However, if you start looking at the amount of time saved, the amount of lives saved compared to what the technology can do as compared to some of the problems that it causes, you're going to have a lot more benefits than people are really starting to talk about. You're talking more about the
Elena, we talked about this in segment 1, and I'm curious to get your take on it. Is they said, right now, like moving violations, speeding tickets, things of that sort is a $6 billion a year industry for municipalities. What happens when that goes away?
Because, Bob personally funded the Highland Park Police Department.
I totally did.
And even more on that, there was an article that came out this week that said that cities and municipalities would have harder times finding organ donors. Because
I did see that.
So many people are killed in car crashes who donate their organs to.
Well, 90% of the crashes are human causes. That's what they're saying. So.
Yes, that's right. And that's what's interesting. So I sit on several other boards in the spare time, and a lot of people are working on some of those business models, because as you start taking, some of the workers and you transition them into a different type of work, and you start transitioning, there'll be different revenue sources, because you can start thinking of things like, if a specific vehicle is an autonomous vehicle, and let's just say hypothetically it's operating within a county, and that it's replacing certain, people aren't getting tickets, but they're using this method of transportation more. You can tax differently. The fuels are going to be different. You can have different
tax by mile
revenue sources. Well, and it just depends on, again, this is hypothetically, but those are the business models that are being explored, because when you take that away, there'll be something else that replaces it.
So now I'm basically seeing us all in the cars from Minority Report, and all the cops being the cops from Demolition Man.
Yeah, that's it.
Pretty much.
Well, but I mean, and that's a good question. I mean, it's I guess half joking, half serious. The autonomous car thing. Yeah, it's great, but how well is how well are autonomous cars going to coexist with human-driven cars? Because, I mean, autonomous cars are programmatic, logical. They are what they are. Humans are random and stupid.
That's right.
And
yeah.
sometimes drunk.
Yeah.
And sometimes drunk.
Who gets the ticket? That's what I always want to know. Autonomous car hits an autonomous car. Guys in the back seat, girls in the other back seat. Cops got to give a ticket. Neither one of them are driving. What do you do? Seriously.
Well, there you go.
Say that those are the various boards that she's on in all her copious free time.
Exactly. So let me get another scotch and I'll be
right.
But again, those are some of the legal questions that are being asked now, and there's going to be. It's like any IT cutover. There are some points where you just do you have to do a parallel cutover, and there are some where you just go straight for it and you just completely cut off one old system and you put in place another. But there are 356 million cars on the road right now that aren't connected fully and that are not autonomous. So there's currently now at least 6 different spaces in the U.S. that are doing autonomous pilots, and they're able to take certain paths and measure the data, and they're able to put, some of them are doing it in, certain lanes, and others are doing it just mixed within traffic. So there's going to be a hybrid, and all the automakers are saying, hey, by 2020, 2025 is when we're really going to start seeing this more ubiquitous kind of environment. So there's still work to be done, but it's not going to all happen at once. There's going to be rules and there's going to be regulations, but there's also going to be that parallel period where we've got non-autonomy and autonomy coexisting. And whoever gets the ticket is probably the one who's drinking and driving, Bob.
Right. But from the back seat.
They'll make up some word if you're not an autonomy. Like you're a driver. You're like a
Neanderthal. You're a driver.
If you don't believe global warming, you're a denier.
You're a manual.
You're an awful person. Hey, Elena, we're up against a break, but how do we find you online, and how do we see you on Thursday at the auto show?
Well, actually, we put a link special for your users tonight at mobilecomply.com.
Oh, my.
And we will be on Thursday at Automobility at 3 o'clock down in the atrium, and come visit us. Anybody that wants to see us will be glad to talk to you then.
As long as they're part of the media.
There you go.
Right. Elena, thanks for the time. Catherine, thank you for hanging out with us and saying,
my pleasure.
Exactly. You're a breath of fresh air. I'm just kidding. Hey, we're going to be back with the M2Techcast, Matt and Mike. Segment 3.
Thanks, Elena.
Thank you, Elena. Have a good one.
Thanks.
This is the IT and the D show, and we'll be right back.
IT and the D. Read, meet, listen. Networking Detroit. One beer at a time.
Hi, I'm Brittany Daniel from The Game, and you're listening to IT and the D show.
ITintheD.com.
Welcome back, segment 3. This is episode 178 of the IT in the D show, and we are broadcasting here live, Studio One, Podcast Detroit in beautiful Royal Oak, Michigan. Bob, the sales guy, here with Dave the Geek and Nuri the FNG. Find us online, ITintheD.com. Now, for segment 3, these two gentlemen need no introductions, but we'll introduce them anyway. We have Mike Brennan here from MyTechNews.com, Matt Roush from Lawrence Tech University. Together, they form the tag team known as the M2Techcast.
Shape of.
Well, it's Matt and Mike. We struggled with what to call ourselves, so we didn't.
If anyone's got a better name out there,
Mike sounded
we'll
like
take
that
it.
sports show, so we went with M squared. You know, it's a geeky kind of thing.
Or as we call it in type form, the M2Techcast.
Right.
Yes, M2.
Like I was at
Nobody can do superscript.
Well,
it's okay.
then, of course, Matt, he's now at LTU. Where's it? Where's the
ring a
bell?
bell.
Hit that bell.
Okay, all right. Hit that bell.
But he was formerly my competitor at WWJ and Glitter
Cranes,
and all
Cranes
that.
before that.
Cranes
Yeah,
and
geez.
we did hand-to-hand combat for 20 years, so now we're working together. So.
It's a good thing. It's kind of like the superpowers, the mega powers, like Macho Man and Hulk Hogan, finally together after all these years of being adversaries.
And we're too old for mixed martial arts now anyway.
So I mean, just give us a quick.
That's what you need. You need like an Anthony or an Andrea, and then you could be the MMA podcast.
Oh,
All right, I like that. Yeah.
So for those that haven't listened to the M2Techcast, I mean, give us a quick overview of what you guys do.
Well,
you
we
hop in the auto show.
basically we do what you guys do without the drinking. No, but it's no, it's,
and that works.
You know,
Not really. That doesn't seem interesting at all.
But it's at 3 PM. That's one thing.
That's
so,
kind of hard. Yeah.
And
It's not 5. It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Exactly.
Right?
It's not, but it's not. I was going to say it's not tailgate time. It's not Saturday, or Sunday. But no, what we do is we take a look at tech from a Michigan perspective. Mike and I both started out as tech writers in Michigan, and a lot of places in the country say, "Oh, there is no tech in Michigan." So it's sort of by definition a man bites dog story.
Wrong.
Yeah, I know. But that's what a lot of people thought in California. A lot of people thought in Boston and Austin and places like that there wasn't much of a tech scene here. So we both started out covering that tech scene, and we're still doing that now.
And as we know from your ESD days, there are more engineers per capita in Michigan than any other state in the country.
That's right. And, that's a lot of that ties in with the auto industry. So a lot of the tech we talk about is auto related, but that doesn't make it any less high tech, especially these days.
As we just heard.
Yeah, right. And as we're going to talk about now,
Yes.
With basically what you're seeing at the auto show, we saw Carlos Ghosn, the guy who's
chairman of everything.
Apparently CEO of half the auto companies out
Nissan,
there,
Renault, Mitsubishi.
But he just came from the CES show, and boy, are his arms tired. But no, he pointed out all of the similarities between CES and the Detroit Auto Show, because one entire hall now at the Las Vegas Convention Center is automotive technology.
Well, and we heard that last night too from one of the speakers that was there, was that she stopped at CES before making her way to the event last night, and it was a lot of car.
And God bless Vegas too for every year during CES having the AVN Awards, the Adult Video Awards, across the street.
I've always said that was the greatest thing ever.
I went there when I was 17 to CES,
nice.
and I snuck my way into the AVN.
When I had to go to CES for 5 years in a row, I actually had a client make me fake business cards. Bobby, we're going to go. And I go, I've been on the floor for 14 hours. I'm going nowhere right now.
But here's your cards.
I'm going. I'll see you later.
Well, then we talked about this earlier today. CES used to be just the stereo show.
Yep.
Right. Yeah.
Because it was consumer electronics. It was the get your new hi-fi.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes,
exactly.
and then it's sort of migrated into, Bill Gates said, decade or more
20 years ago, I think.
20 years ago, that cars were just computers on four wheels.
Another point on the network.
Yeah.
And everybody laughed at him. And now it's really true.
Oh, yeah.
Well, he also said computers would never need more than 32K of memory. But
he's wrong on that.
Can't be wrong all the time, I guess.
I guess so. I guess that's an interesting point. What are the correlations between CES and the auto show? Because you said there's very similarities. I guess what are they?
Well, to me, it's the way cars are starting to communicate like computers. There've been computers in cars for a long time.
Yep.
They weren't able to talk to each other. They weren't terribly sophisticated. Now they're getting more and more sophisticated, and they are talking to each other. It's not just everybody wants to talk about autonomous vehicle. What's more interesting to me is the connected vehicle.
Yep.
The cars, and there's a huge experiment kind of flying under the radar going on in this right now in Ann Arbor. Where you have thousands of vehicles talking to each other, via dedicated short-range radio. Yeah, the DSRC.
They're all bickering and arguing. You cut me off, you asshole.
Hey, girl. No.
Well, and it's going to get even bigger.
And you couldn't get into U of M if you tried, right? Yeah.
M-City's a 34-acre site, but the entire world auto industry is there.
Yeah.
And they're actually working together. But even bigger in a couple of years will be the Willow Run site, which will be 10 times that size.
Yeah, 300 acres.
Is American Mobility something? I forget what is it.
American Center for
Mobility. The old Willow Run Airport, where they used to make B-24 bombers in World War II, is now the major site where they continue to collaborate, but in a much larger scale.
Well, and autonomous cars are cool. I myself am looking forward to the day when I can get in my car and say, "Drive me home." I'm
exactly
drunk.
Go home car. I'm drunk.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But what even better, and I think what's potentially even closer, is a car that can warn the car behind it, slow down. There's ice up here.
Yeah, that would be nice.
I've always said cars need gradient brake lights. Because I would like to know if the car in front of me is slowly coming to a gradual stop or putting their foot through the floor to avoid a child running out in the road chasing a ball.
Right.
That's the kind of information that cars can communicate to each other.
You have that now in certain models now where It brakes for you. It sees the car braking and it stops. I mean, but it's not in all models. It's only in some models. You got all sorts of other features like that, with the adaptive cruise
the park
control,
assist,
the parking assist. Those are elements of autonomous vehicles that we have today. Now, the big debate, and that's where we can talk about this. I heard this from everybody. 2021.
2021.
We're going to have
Ford is promising an autonomous car by 2021.
It's not going to happen because there's just way too many other issues that we got to deal with yet. And think about the car cycle. You're designing. We talked about that. Designing a vehicle 4 years in advance. For the physical vehicle, and you've got to have all the electrical stuff and the digital stuff set up because all that technology is going to change over the next 4 years. It's a real tough thing to design.
Yeah, and Ford is showing an autonomous Ford Fusion that's got, really awkward looking handles and, angles coming out of it, for the LiDAR and the radar and all that stuff. Yeah. And I'm not sure people are ready to buy that.
Well, and not only that, I mean, and that's going to lead to the inevitable clash between, the designers and the engineers where, we need to have the antenna here. Well, but it looks terrible there.
But the way radio waves work, it can't be anywhere else. Right? Sorry, laws of physics.
Well, going back to what he said is because they have so many platforms, is they try to get them to standardize it. But what happens is the engineers become engineers and they go, I can make this better. It doesn't have to be standard.
Right.
And then all of a sudden it gets really fluey,
and it gets expensive to build the cars because every model's got a little bit different doohickey on it.
Yeah.
So, you want that stuff standardized as much as possible.
So we have a lot of issues there, but it's coming. It's just everyone is, 10 years, 15 years, 5 years.
Well, it'll happen after they figure out who gets sued. I mean, that's always been my thing.
And what's the acronym? Is it ADAS, the Adaptive Driver Assistance Systems, or something like that?
Advanced Driver Assistance. Yeah,
ADAS. That's kind of already there. Yeah. It's the lane departure warning systems,
all that stuff,
and the adaptive cruise control that'll slam on the brakes if somebody slams on the brakes in front of you. Right. That's autonomous driving, really. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, it can keep in a lane if it can see a line in the road.
But bear in mind
not so good in winter.
The American fleet.
Yeah, that's another problem. Yeah, right. That's why they need LiDAR and radar and all that stuff too. They can't just use cameras.
The American fleet average, according to Polk, is about 13 years. That means the average car on the road is 13 years old. So we've got all these really great things in the ones that are a year or two old. But there's a whole lot of 25-year-old cars.
And that's about right. I mean, so last December, December of 2016, I bought a car to replace my 2003. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's, it was just finally time for a new car.
Right.
If Volkswagen wasn't writing me a big fat check for my diesel, I'd be keeping mine for a while.
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about that either.
No.
Isn't that the biggest argument against it, or kind of like the how do we overcome this? Is that sure, you may have a small percentage of self-driving cars on the road, but you've got everybody else in 1990 Honda Civic Beaters that are not going to have that technology. And then how do you...
Cash for clunkers. Part 2. Electric Boogaloo.
Some of them may even have carburetors in them. Who knows? So,
or it gets, I mean, the way I see this happening is that it gets phased in. You know, there's the various SAE levels of 1 through 5 of vehicle autonomy.
Yeah.
And, we may get to 2 or 3 by 2021 where you could take your hands off the wheel on a rural freeway. Something like that.
You can take my Cadillac only from my cold, dead hands.
I was just saying, there's gonna be a revolt at the Woodward Dream Cruise in about 4 years.
Exactly. Well, there's also another way to do it.
No robot cars. We don't serve their kind in here.
Hey, Matt wins tonight.
Last summer, the Army, TACOM and Warren, they tested where there was a lead vehicle that was sending electrical signals back to the 4 or 5 trucks behind it, and they tested it out on I-69, and it worked just fine. And Bob Lutz is a big proponent of that too. He says within 5 or 10 years, automakers essentially are going to make like railroad coaches that'll all be following up behind this lead vehicle or other vehicles in this little procession like
and
a
that's
train
the only
going
one that's
down
actually
the
driving.
highway.
Yeah.
Well, what's differentiator won't be the exterior; it'll be the interior stuff.
I mean, you think about it. We talk about it a few times, but what truck drivers are the biggest employer for non-educated males in the U.S.
Yeah, 2 million people working as truck drivers.
2 or 3, yeah, or factory workers.
And now Uber owns auto.
Yeah. So I mean, what's going to happen to all those truck drivers? Right.
Well, it's, the thing we saw, one of the videos that we saw last night was, that whole the last mile problem, and so those new Mercedes trucks that are basically designed to simplify and automate that last mile delivery system.
Was it just me, or did you giggle when the thing slid into the back of it?
Oh, totally.
Basically, the video was like this compartment that basically just slides back into the end of the vehicle and it closes it. And I'm like, hey.
Yeah. Well, it's supposed to Mercedes is building this for like FedEx, UPS, post office, where they load the thing up, they load it in the back, and then drones deliver it to the premise.
And then drones were like moving boxes around inside the vehicle as well. I'm like, wow, that's a cool concept.
Yeah. I don't want one of those things on my street. What if it goes rogue? Burn it with fire.
Well, and then getting into the security issue, there have been some talk where that you could commandeer autonomous vehicles and use them to kill people. I mean, that has been a theory out there that could be done.
Was that the Will Smith movie I, Robot?
Yeah, sort of like that,
Well, those are the robots, but I mean, then you had Minority Report where somebody took over the car.
Then you had the whole line of cars in the parking lot, and the one goes, boop, boop, peeks its head around. That's it.
Then guns its engine at you,
right?
Christine.
Well, no, but I mean that's why you look at anytime new technology comes out, my first question is, okay, well, who's going to hack it and how, and why, so I mean, even
because they want to, because it's
there
and
it's fun.
Yeah.
Well, for game, it's more for game than
right.
Well, but if you've got people that are bored enough that they're taking over your Nest thermostat, there sure as hell are going to be people that are going to want to be taking over your car.
Or imagine this: it's like you own a company and your competitor has a self-driving car, and you can hack his car and drive him into a tree and take out the company. It's
exactly.
Like,
it's on the news, and then
right,
yeah.
Sounds like a basis of a great novel. We should write that. Do you think?
Okay.
Well, speaking of Christine, you know the movie Christine, right?
Yeah.
If they redid it today, the car would be a 1994. Like it was a 57 Chevy, like when it was made. But yeah, if you did it today, it'd be a 94.
Yeah.
And God knows what car, because they all stunk in 94.
Dodge Intrepid or something like that.
Intrepid, yeah.
The Mitsubishi 3000 GT.
Right. I had a 92 Camaro. It was a great car.
So,
we ran into you guys last night, and for those that didn't listen, I mean, they had their show today at 3:00. It was actually just all of the recorded interviews from last night at the main event thing. But so what did you guys see that kind of caught your eye today as you were roaming around?
Well, today, I really like the Chrysler Portal concept car. That's an all-electric minivan. Get ready to ring the bell again, because it was designed by a guy who graduated from Lawrence Tech only 2 years ago.
Really?
Yeah, he was the lead designer.
Wow.
Of that thing. Yeah. So it was designed by a very youthful team at Chrysler, and it's an all-electric minivan with some self-driving capability.
And as a disclaimer, he's the PR director at LTU. But go ahead, keep going.
No, nobody rang the bell.
Oh, I know. Yes,
okay.
yeah.
Right.
It wasn't. No, usually we ring the bell for funny stuff.
That was the cheap plug bell.
Cheap plug fine.
One of the coolest things with the main event last night was seeing just all the kids out of Lawrence Tech and the cool shit that they're doing.
Yeah.
And the forward-looking things that they're coming up with is just really incredible.
I want my door to open like that. No more door dings at Meyer.
When the two slid open in different ways?
Yes.
That was really crazy.
Yeah.
And the one that won the $10,000 scholarship, it was a vehicle with a ladder all the way around it that was going to be used by journalists. I'm still not sure exactly how that was going to work.
Yeah, I'm not sure why you'd want access to the top of the the car, but I guess you could get up there with a camera or something.
And I think there was a drone on it.
Well,
too.
no, that was a search and rescue vehicle.
Okay, all right.
The search and rescue vehicle, that would make sense, because if you got to where the car couldn't go anymore, then you could send the drone on farther ahead and see where Timmy fell down the well or whatever.
Or how far
that
is
was
this
funny,
fire
man. I'll
burning?
give you a bell.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that was cool. Everybody, this stuff seems to go in phases. Mike, you were talking about this earlier. A few years ago, everybody was excited about fuel cells, and then they were excited about hydrogen, and now it's batteries.
Well, then it was
because the battery
hybrid,
technology's gotten so good. So
it was hybrids, and now I think literally everybody there had a battery electric vehicle.
Yeah.
Now, the problem has been the initial ones were 40-mile ranges or not very good. Now they're getting in the 200, maybe pushing 300.
Neil's
Now they're
Tesla's
getting more
250.
practical.
Yeah, and
250.
they're talking about once they get to 400-mile range, that's how far people want to be able to go in a day.
Well, that's what.
So that'll be once they get to 400-mile electric car, right?
That's how they figure for cars. When you figure what your mileage is. And
I get 800 miles on my diesel that I got to trade in.
Well, most people
as you're
get
killing the
4,
environment while you drive.
Little nitrogen's good for you.
Yeah.
Well, and I guess that's but then the whole tank of gas thing. So, but then it's the question of how fast does it recharge versus how fast can I fill up my tank of gas?
That was a new one
the other
today.
issue.
Was it Samsung that released a new battery that could give you 350-mile range with a 20-minute charge time?
Okay,
I think it's like today.
Talking. Now you're talking.
I must
it was
have missed
Samsung.
that.
Enough time to take a spritz and go get a burrito, and then your car's charged, and just saying.
We could have them at rest stops.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
The whole
next
thing.
gen Samsung EV battery gets 300+ miles of range from a 20-minute charge.
Okay,
that's got to be expensive.
The fast charger,
right?
it's like the fast charger thing that breaks.
It's the nature of all these things is they start out wicked expensive and then gradually get cheaper. I mean, We're talking about $30,000 now for the Chevy Bolt.
You just got to figure out how to recycle them, because that's going to be the next mother of all.
All of that lithium. All of that,
like what are you going to? Because they don't last forever. What are you going to? That's a lot of battery.
We'll just bury them under the pipelines that we're putting through travel reservations.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I said, dig a hole to the center of the earth. And it's like nature's furnace. You just dump all the stuff in there, and then you put an exhaust tube to the space, and you can burn all the garbage.
Put it in Nevada with all the nuclear waste.
Yeah, that'd be a swell.
Fill up the Grand Canyon.
Right.
Nobody looks at it.
We're done with it anyway.
Shoot it into the sun or something.
That is one thing I don't actually know and need to look into is, can lithium-ion batteries be remanufactured into new batteries, or can once it's done, is it done?
I don't know.
So, yeah.
Or give them to all the Philly Eagles fans so they can throw them at Santa Claus.
The other big
put them on the inside of snowballs.
Exactly.
Ride-sharing vehicles, things like that. The millennials are very into that. In fact, that came up a lot. Millennials just don't buy cars.
Yeah, that came up in the Ford presentation. It came up in the Carlos Ghosn presentation. The whole streaming music versus owning CDs.
See, us Gen Xers, if we want to go somewhere, I ain't stopping 14 times to pick up Skippy and Josie and Connor and I'm going there now. Like such an impatient people.
And I don't know where that fact comes from or what's pushing that. I mean, I can understand like someone who's out of a job as a millennial or underemployed, not able to buy a car, but I'm on the cusp of millennial and I have to have my car. And I use Uber, but I would probably never use Uber Share to get where I'm going.
Well, it's not a question of can't buy. And it's coming in from surveys. I mean, we've seen a couple of different stories about this over the past few months where they just don't want to. They don't want that. But then again, they're also taking those surveys in major cities,
right?
Like in New York, New York where nobody owns
New York or Chicago. Yeah, why bother? It's more
they're
expensive.
learning from the recession. I mean, granted, take it from what you will, but it's dead money. You read any book on making money, and the first thing is don't ever buy a car.
Because it sits 95% of the time.
You lose
and it's a rapidly depreciating asset.
Yeah,
it makes much more sense to lease it.
Can't even call it an asset.
I just actually did my first lease on a vehicle.
So,
yeah, totally.
So that was the other big theme is trying to cater. Well, they're trying to figure out how to deal with the millennials, but at the same time, they were saying there's people are going to always want a car or a personal vehicle or something or other. Whether it's the numbers that we have now, it's hard to tell, but there'll always be a market for someone that says, heck, I want to have my own car, I'm going to buy it, or my own truck or whatever. So that they were that's sort of the other issue they were dealing with today. How do we, moving forward, where is this going? No one really has a good crystal ball on that, but so they just hedge their bets. So
and that and the whole the other thing I noticed at the show is that trucks are taking over the universe. Everybody wants a truck now or an SUV. Nobody wants a car anymore.
How quickly we forget gas prices, right?
Well,
now they're creeping back up.
Well, not only that, but I mean it's almost to some degree it's a defense thing. It's when you're in a car, because when my car was in the shop, they gave me a car one day and I brought it back and I'm like, nope. No, because your entire field of vision changes. It's weird for me to sit in a car now after being in, mine aren't huge SUVs. I mean, they're crossovers, but still it's weird.
Mm-hmm.
A lot lower on the road. So
yeah. Well, and you almost feel like you're not seen, you get somebody in a smart car and it's a lot easier for them to hide in a Hummer's blind spot for 8 hours than it is for like, my car that's more easily seen.
I looked at a couple of those smarts about 6 foot long, and I'm thinking, I don't think this is going to work.
Bob hugged one a couple years ago. It was amazing.
No,
he literally hugged a smart car.
First time I saw a smart car was in Germany, in Munich, in I think 98 or 2000, and I could put my arms bumper to bumper. So my cousin took a picture of it, and everyone was laughing because, like, I guess I'm the first one to do that, or I was big,
And here we are in the land of the big SUV. Ooh, bad scene. There,
WWJ. I guess I should have known at that point how they felt about me because they gave me a smart car to drive in the Woodward Dream Cruise.
You're expendable.
Did you lose a bet?
And it was one of the convertible ones where you could actually take like pieces of the roof off and stow them in the trunk.
So it was a hardtop convertible? Interesting.
Yeah, it was a hardtop convertible, right? And I'm taking pieces
Deadly
of this.
at any speed.
I'm taking pieces of this car off, and it's like, the panel across the top that's supposed to protect me in a rollover is like lighter than my arm. And I'm thinking, how is this possible that this passed a safety
It's composite.
test?
It's composite.
Well, I said that car could probably fit in my Cadillac's trunk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a blowout or something. You just pull that thing out, drive it
pull
off.
the car out. Exactly. It's like a dinghy.
Yeah, it's like towing
They give you a
towing a
harness.
raft behind the
They give you a harness that you can strap on and like just tow it to the nearest station yourself.
So again, so it's not open to the public until Saturday. Like, what do you think is going to be the big wow factor for typical Joe Schmo walking around this year?
Well, Toyota Camry is the best-selling vehicle in the country. That's not a truck, and there's a brand new one that's
Still?
yeah, and there's a brand new one that's longer and lower and sexier looking.
Really?
So just for a regular car, I mean, that's that'll be something that'll be cool for people. That, and let's see, Ford is getting into the little bitty SUV game. They've got something called an EcoSport.
So smaller than the Escape?
It's smaller than the Escape. Yeah,
Wow.
It's the size of the Chevy Trax.
And the
roughly.
Ranger and the
Really?
Bronco are coming back.
And the Ranger and the Bronco are coming back. That'll be fun.
Cue the O.J. Simpson chase joke.
Mid-size small trucks.
Well, yeah, the Bronco is supposed to be sort of more rugged and off-road capable, that kind of thing.
2019 on
2020 on the
2020?
Yeah, 2020 on the Bronco, and then the Ranger is just a smaller version of the F-150, and that's one thing, because the only truck I've ever owned was a Toyota truck, sort of like Michael J. Fox's in Back to the Future, like that size.
Yeah,
nobody makes a truck that size anymore. The trucks now are the size of school buses. I just don't want to own one. Plus, they're $55,000.
Yeah,
there are. Like in my the cul-de-sac that I live in, there are 6 houses, and 4 of them have they're behemoths.
Yeah,
they're huge. I mean, they're great. If like, hey man, I'm going to run to Lowe's. You want to go with me?
Yeah, you want to buy half a house? Yeah,
exactly. Well, I'll throw everything in the back of your car.
Yeah,
well, it's amazing. Look at the pictures for the new Ranger and the Bronco. I think Rangers used to be like synonymous with shitty small truck.
Right.
And look at the pictures, and it's like, holy shit, I'd drive that truck. It's like, it's
that
incredible.
Bronco looks hot.
Oh, the Bronco's hot too. Yeah.
You know which one was supposed to come out, and I thought it was supposed to, was the 67 Lincoln suicide door.
Yeah, that was
the Continental
car a couple years ago.
It was in the end of Entourage, and everyone thought it was going to be a car, and it never was. And that's the one. That's the one new hot sexy car. If it was going to come out,
they drop everything by the car.
And I will tell you, Nissan came out with a concept vehicle, and I'm blanking on the name of it now, of course, but it did have exceptionally cool suicide doors. So the whole side of the car would open up, so you could get in and out easily.
And there was some concept with the gull-wing suicide doors.
Very nice.
So,
my favorite scene from Silicon Valley, where the doors are supposed to go up, not out.
Yeah.
If you ever want to laugh, just Google it.
Oh, it's the old DeLorean doors.
Yeah.
Right. No, that way up.
Yeah.
Different up.
Yeah. Well, those are gull wings.
That's another thing I heard was, supposed to come back that never did. But the one thing about the Detroit Auto Show is some of the supercar makers aren't there anymore, like Maybach and, people like that. Bentley's not there,
So there are no Bentley's next
Bentley's
to Buicks.
not next to the Buicks?
Yeah.
Even though Bentley just released a brand new supercar, right? Something with crazy horsepower and.
Well, yeah, they were outside the show, I guess. Bentley was with the fastest Bentley ever today.
Now, I guess that's
V12 or something.
So I guess that's a question when it comes to the similarities between the auto show and CES. Like, I'll be honest, one of the reasons why I stopped going to CES was because it got too big and sprawling.
Okay.
Like, it was no longer about what was on the show floor. It was you had to go to this hotel suite to get that event. You had to go to that hotel to get that event. You had to go and it just became a gigantic pain in the ass. Is the auto show starting to get that way where, now you've got, these press previews that are offsite. You've got these, things that are outside the auto show, like San Diego Comic-Con. I mean, and it's all over the place where people are opting not to go to the show, but they're setting up somewhere offsite because the show's too expensive or too much of a pain in the ass to deal with.
At that side thing, yeah.
Sounds like the Mackinac conference a bit too that the Chamber does. Yeah. You got to be at somebody's party at the Hotel Iroquois if you really want to do any business or something.
Right.
Yeah. But I haven't seen that so far. Most of the stuff that's not at Cobo tends to be at the Rensen or at the Crown Plaza, what used to be the Pontchartrain across the street. So it's in the neighborhood, and there's stuff beforehand during the press preview that's offsite, but that's kind of expected.
Yeah, but that's not for the public. I mean, the public is pretty well confined to Cobo. So for instance, the Ford conference today was at the Joe Louis, but they don't use that during public days.
Yeah.
So for the public, I mean, it's a great show. If you really want to see what's out there, and that possibilities, because there are some concepts there. And if you want to see all these cool interiors where they've got all these different gadgets.
Do they have knobs for the air conditioner controls?
Yeah.
I already saw it. There was a car today. There was a car today that somebody had already stolen the knobs off of. Yeah.
Bastards.
So, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
The first day of the press preview, and somebody's stealing knobs out of the car. So it's like, what would you use them for? Why do that?
I think it's $15, runs for, 10 days, 12 days?
22nd. I think 22nd is the last day.
Typically, they draw 800,000 or so folks. Don't come on Martin Luther King Day. That's the worst possible day.
So it's probably Monday. Well, because everybody's got the day off.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So I would certainly, if you're in the market for a car, what better opportunity do you have to see them all in one place and check them out for $15?
Yep.
So how do we find you guys online? If you want to listen to the show?
All right. Well, we're at podcastdetroit.com, obviously, and we're live at
place.
It's a pretty good app to download for your iPhone or Android phone as well.
Cheap plug.
Or as Bob likes to say, for Apple or iOS.
Okay.
The Apple or the iTunes.
We play both kinds of music, country and Western.
That's right. We got country and Western.
But you guys are on Podcast Detroit on Mondays at 3 o'clock?
Mondays at 3 o'clock Eastern Time, and then available later, iTunes, SoundCloud, a few other places.
Yeah. Wherever fine podcasts are sold. Well, yeah, you've got, at the M2Techcast on Facebook and a few other places. So, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I have to put in a shameless plug for MI Tech News. If you just want to read stories and look at videos and listen to audio and whatnot, we have all that right at mitechnews.com, or you can find out what's going on in Michigan.
Yep, and I've got a tech blog, too. It is techcentury.com. That is a joint venture of the Engineering Society of Detroit, my former employer, and Lawrence Tech, my current employer. And
that's convenient.
I do some tech blogging there.
Gets extra money for that, too, So.
Nice. Gentlemen, appreciate the time spent. This is going to wrap up another episode of the ITintheD show. Looking forward to going to the auto show. Now I'm all pumped up for it. Usually I'm like, this is a good warm up.
There is cool stuff there.
Well, yeah, it's worth going.
On behalf of myself, Bob, Dave, and Nuri, appreciate the time spent with us. Thank you to Fellows and to Blue Apron for sponsoring the show and keeping the lights on. Do us all a favor. You don't have to go home. You just got to get the hell out of here. Drink up your drinks, get your phone numbers. See you soon.
What's wrong with you?
Beat it.
You did that all out of order.
Can we do it again? Just
try that again.
Do it one more time.
Do us all a favor. Drink up your drinks. Get your phone numbers. You don't have to go home. Just get the hell out of here. See how you stuttered.
Yeah, third take on that
one. Get the hell out of here. Beat it. See.
The emergency destruct system is now activated.
Conan, what is best in life? To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation of their women.
Long live Flash. You've saved your Earth. Have a nice day.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Nice shooting, son. What's your name? Murphy. Make the run. The run.
Game over, man. Game over.
It's over, Johnny. It's over.
Nothing is over. Nothing. You just don't turn it off.
I can't say no, and I don't really want to, so.
Well, especially with the back doors open.
Yo! Hold up! Time out! Time out! Y'all take a chill. You need to cool that shit out. And that's the double truth. Root.
Bob loves it in the can.
I hope this was as much fun for you as it was for me.
That's why I like it in a can.
就on the cheese.
Beer me.
My job is to make sure this program is morally upright and cultural and wholesome.
Shut up, Mimsy! Shut up, Mimsy! Shut up, Mimsy!
Why would Buick put their cars next to the Bentleys? Why? That's not marketing.
The alphabet.
It's brilliant.
Yeah, I can't take that position.
That analogy sucks because it's right.
Because you're getting your 8-track tuned up.
Are we at a break yet? Yeah, so now I'm just doing stupid stuff to make me laugh.
Venture capital is not the end game.
When are we going to talk about me?
Jane, you ignorant slut.
It's my show. I can say what I want.
Yeah. Kiss my ass, go home, unplug, get off the goddamn internet. You are everything that is wrong with the internet right now.
You're so white right now.
I'm the whitest guy in the room. Just explain it to me.
I love this city.
I was banging on the wang.
Really? Should we talk about this? Tag team it. Should I keep going or should I stop?
Can I just say, it's been great being on a show that talks about Mickey Rooney dying for 20 seconds and then poop for 10 minutes.